I'm Angela Bull. I'm the CEO of the Independent Book Publishers Association, and I'm here at BookCon 2017 in New York City talking with a number of IBPA members about books that they have recently published. Today I'm joined by one of our fabulous members named Steve Peha. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Angela. Thank you for your time today. It's really wonderful to be here.
No, this is exciting because you have a really great book that I think everyone needs to know about. I'm excited to talk about it. This book was published by Teaching That Makes Sense. That's the publishing company. And it's actually not just you, it's also you and your wife, Margot.
Yes, it is. She is the professional writer in the family. She's the working journalist. I'm more of the writing teacher, so I do the writing workshops and work with kids and teachers in school.
Got it.
And she pops in every 1,000 words with a little thing we call Miss Margot Says, and then sometimes she disagrees with her husband, and sometimes she amplifies what I do with a professional perspective.
So Steve and his wife, Margot Lester, have written this book, Be a Better Writer, for school, for fun, for anyone, and published it last year in April. And since then, you have conducted over 50 workshops. So really, this book has become the cornerstone of this writing, this experiential writing workshop.
It has, yes. Not only do I use this in book events, we'll do a workshop every time I do a book event, but I also do it when I go to schools. We use this in schools with kids. We also have a program we've started called the Be a Better Writer Classroom, where we ship you 100 books or 50 books or whatever, and then I come in on video, Skype, and I teach. And we have classrooms in Australia, Honduras, Canada, all over the place. And so I've been able to use this in a myriad of ways, more than I thought, and it's so much fun.
Fun and really practical, which I want to get into in a little bit. Just the practical nature of this book. There's a lot of writing books out there. This, I think, does fill a void in the market. But just going back a little bit to the workshops that you teach, one of the fun things you found was that this is for all ages. So you thought you wrote a YA, nonfiction YA book, but what you found out was? What
we found out was that if I'm in a bookstore and I've got 50 people, 40 of them will be over 40 years of age.
Yeah.
And I'll have 10 kids who will be great. They'll be awesome. But when the workshop is over, I'll sell 20 copies to the people who are 40 to 80 years old who've already written books.
Right.
And I'm just so honored that they find this to be another useful tool. I know we've all read Stephen King's book. We've read Anne Lamott's Bird by Bird, Writing Down the Bones. William Zinzer's on Writing Well. We all have those books, and they are wonderful and essential. But people feel this one does fill a void or add to their repertoire of things they know how to do.
I have all of those writing books on my shelf, uncracked. I'm ready to crack it. Maybe this is the one that I need to crack it. So talk a little bit about why that's true, why this fills the void, the practical nature of the content in this book.
I think we're all used to the idea that writing is hard.
Yeah.
And every professional writer will tell you that it's hard too. I spent about 22 years teaching in schools, and I really came to the conclusion that the reason writing is hard is because no one actually shows us how to do it. You know the old show, don't tell?
Right.
Well, you really have to actually take that to heart when you teach writing. I think good people have told us what good writing is and so forth, but this book really shows you how to write a good beginning, exactly how to choose the topic that works for you. There's a whole chapter in there on how to write a novel, and when you're done, you will have the entire proposal, the characters, the plot, the setting, everything will be completely worked out that you could send to a publisher.
I'm sure we're going to be able to, on the screen, bring up some examples of that, practical tips. It would be wonderful to see those. It makes me wonder whether you believe in writer's block.
You know, I absolutely do. I think it's a real thing. What I've worked toward is providing a specific set of techniques. I think there are 7 or 8 of them in the book, so that if you feel like you're going to have it, you can just go to a technique I call chaining, where you write one sentence and then you take a word out of that sentence, you write the next sentence, take a word out of that sentence, you write the next sentence. 5 sentences in, you've got a paragraph that absolutely hangs together automatically. And that's just one of many things. So I do believe that writer's block is a real problem, but I don't think you have to have it. If you have 6 or 8 concrete techniques for dealing with it.
And that's the example of what this, the practical nature of this book, the void that it fills. So you are going to experience some stops and starts, I think, and this is going to help with the starts. It's going to give you an example of how to get to the start. You have a website for this book. I love it. It's super short. It's babw.me, beabetterwriter.me. And you'll have a series of books out, I think, if this is the first.
Yes, we actually have 4 more titles coming out in the next year or so, I hope. We'll have a couple devoted to fiction. I think that's really popular. Kids really want to write a lot of fiction. We're going to have a book on poetry that I'm very excited with, working with a great spoken word poet named Will McInerney. He's amazing.
Oh, that's
great. And we will have a book for the NaNoWriMo contest.
Okay, great.
And finally, we're going to write the book that everybody needs but nobody wants. We're going to write a book about spelling, punctuation, usage, and grammar.
Nobody wants it.
Nobody wants that.
Nobody wants it.
But we're going to handle
it.
We're going to handle it in the same way we handle this.
Yeah.
Not rules with Latin terms, but techniques for solving the problems that get you the red marks.
Well, you're right. Everyone needs it. So I'm glad we'll finally have a resource to go to for that. You're available for speaking. I know your workshops are amazing. They're super experiential. They're very interactive. Again, they're good for people from 8 to 88.
Yes,
so
every time I go to
there.
a bookstore event or I'm speaking in public, everyone can come and everyone does. What we do is I don't read from the book. I don't do a reading. I don't usually even do a Q&A. What we do is we get right in and we have a 90-minute workshop on either memoir writing or fiction writing, and I use the tools in the right order so that 90 minutes you walk away with an entire piece or a plan for your piece.
That's it, yep.
Your characters worked out, your plot, progressive complication, rising action, the whole thing. On the memoir side, you know what research you need to do. I want people to spend a good 45, 90 minutes and have something in their hand. And
great.
Walk out feeling like they just can go right home and start
very
writing.
Accomplished. We'd all feel very accomplished.
We do. No, we would, and people do. And that, to me, that's what's the most heartening thing.
Yep.
I struggled in writing in school. I even got A's and didn't know why. I went through college. I read The Elements of Style 6 times. I never understood any of it. I got into professional writing, and all I did was redo what my editors told me to do. I was good, but entirely through years of trial and error. And I don't think everybody wants to spend 20 years in trial and error. You want to write. You want to put yourself down on paper. And that's where all the tools in this book came from. The tools distilled here are based on 20 years of work of mine, but they're also based on 20 years of work of literally thousands of teachers, writers, and kids around the world. So if I've done 200 things in writing, this is the best 50. These are the ones that hundreds of people have said are good.
Yeah,
there's absolutely nothing in here that hasn't been used successfully by children, teachers, politicians, advertising people, marketing, communications. And my wife and I use this in our professional work.
Well, you certainly know your stuff. If you'd like to get in touch with Steve, he's available at Mr. Peha, and we'll put that on the screen, Mr. Peha at babw.me.
And I'm really serious, folks. Writing is a lonely profession, and I really love getting those emails in my inbox. You can ask me a question. You can send me some of your work and I'll give you a critique on it. Or, as a few kids have done, they've asked me to actually produce a kind of piece of writing that I didn't put an example of in the book. So if you want me to write a chapter of a mystery novel or a poem or a song, I've done songwriting. Whatever you want me to do, give Mr. Peha an assignment, I'll do it.
Great. Mr. Peha at babw.me. Well, thank you, Steve. Really great work you and your wife, Margot, are doing. Really appreciate you being out there and helping all of us who want to be better writers. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Angela. And it's really been a pleasure working with you, and it's been incredible being a part of IBPA.
Thank you. I appreciate it.